Good morning. I am doing my chocolate chip cookie recipe. Any of you that have had them know they're really good. I think they're amazing. I know that a lot of people have asked for the recipe. I haven't made these cookies in 2.5 years. I normally do them for open houses, but with COVID and all of that, we really haven't been doing, giving out stuff at the open houses. But things seem to be relaxing a little bit. I have open houses this weekend, so I'm going to make these chocolate chip cookies. I'm going to share the recipe with you and tell you how I do it, and I really hope you enjoy them. There are particular techniques that I use that I'll explain as I go, but they work, and I think they're really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my spatula. I left over here. So it's 2 sticks of butter, so 1 cup of butter. However, you'll notice one is shorter than the other. I'm going to go over here. One of them is shorter than the other because I take 2 tablespoons out. And the reason I do that is because I add in 2 tablespoons of clarified butter. And there's the clarified butter. That's going to go in there. So I'm going to go to this camera now. So there is this 2 sticks of butter less 2 tablespoons plus the 2 tablespoons of clarified butter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the sugar in, and I'm going to cream the 2 of those together. Oh, I forgot my music. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to just cream the 2 of those together. There we go. Now that I got the... So while those are creaming together, I have 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. I use kosher salt because I like a little larger chunks of salt in there, and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and put those in there. Then I have 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then this is where I do something just a little bit different. Normally, I follow the Toll House cookie recipe, Nestle Toll House cookie recipe for the most part, but I do add extra little things. This is just a little bit of nutmeg. So I add that in there, get that all incorporated so the flavor is in there. And then I'm just going to do a little scrape of the side to get that all down to the bottom. So it was a 3/4 cup of regular granulated sugar. Now I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to show you this. So this is powdered sugar, brown sugar. Now you'll notice it's a cup, it's 3/4 cup, but you'll notice it's mounded. So I do a little more than 3/4 cup. This is why. Because the brown sugar is actually what's going to crystallize and crunch and caramelize the ends or the edges of the cookies. So I do 3/4 cup plus a little bit more of the brown sugar. So get that incorporated in there. It's always good once you're mixing to do a little scrape, because as great as these blender mixers are, they do sometimes leave a little bit at the bottom. Oh, quite a bit left on the spatula there. Okay. Sorry, my arm got in the way there. Great. Okay, so now for the eggs. Let me get these little dishes out of the way. So, eggs, room temperature. I forgot to mention the butter. The butter is also at room temperature. So I left the butter out overnight so it would be nice and soft, so it incorporates better. I got up early this morning at about 4:30 and put the eggs out. It's about 7:45 right now. So that way they get to room temperature. So, eggs. I do them in a separate bowl first. And I don't do the edge of the bowl because I think it shatters the egg and that's the potential to put eggshells in there. And if you get eggshells in there, no one wants eggshells. That's one reason I do it in a bowl separately before I put it in there so eggshells don't go directly into the mix. There we go. So now I have my 2 eggs. I'm going to add those in there. Okay, I'm going to give it a little scrape again. Those eggshells cleaned up. Try to scrape that up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate the flour. So I have my little handy dandy thing on here, but I'm going to move my remote and this iPad over a little bit. So I add it in the little feeder here. A little bit at a time. See how that's incorporating in there? It's drying the cookie dough out. So I'm going to turn that off, do a little scrape down so the flour is down in there. Some of your butt to the dance floor. Everybody over here. Okay. So get that little cover back on there to keep the mess to a minimum. Put the rest of the flour in there. So now the cookie dough is getting a little thicker. Sorry, bumped the camera. Do one more little scrape down. And notice the cookie dough is a little darker. That's because I use dark brown sugar. I think it makes the ends, the edges of the cookies a little more crispy and crunchy. And that's what we're looking for. I already have the oven set at 375 and it's already preheated. I'm going to show you the chocolate chips I use. So I use Nestle's Toll House milk chocolate, not the semi-sweet. Semi-sweet tends to be a little more waxy. These are a little more milky and they melt better, so I like those. And then I also add a little bit of Ghirardelli, the 60% cacao chocolate chip. just they're a little bitter and so it gives a little different dynamic of taste. So I do a full bag of the milk chocolate, and then I do just about a quarter cup of the Ghirardelli. Get that all incorporated. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this camera angle a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go to that camera, unlock that, give it a really good. So I'm going to get rid of the rest of these bowls. Okay, I'm going to get all the goodness out of there. And then again, scrape down the bowl. Okay, I'm gonna get that off of there. I'm gonna unplug this and get it out of the way. Got my cookie sheet here. And a little mess on the paper, so I'm going to clean some of that up. I have a roll of craft paper on the basement stairs, so I can just walk down 2 steps, reach above, it's up on a shelf, and I can get craft paper. So what I do is I use a little scooper. That way all of them are even. It's funny, even though I know that if I put a cookie on every one of the spots on this plate, on this cookie sheet, I know there's 12, but for some reason I still count in my head. Well, it's OCD, I guess. But what's really great is that little bit of nutmeg gives a little spicy element to it, and then the clarified butter with the additional brown sugar that I add gives a little better crunch to the edge of the cookie, and that's what we're really looking for. So you can hear me running the water. I have hot water and I run it over the back of the cookie scoop to warm it up so they come out a little better. And then I just dry the back of it with the paper towel. Yeah, see, now they're coming out a little easier. Kind of like what you do with an ice cream scoop. Warm it up and the ice cream comes out more easily. Oh, these are going to smell so good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven. Normally, they're recommended to cook at about 9 to 11 minutes. I do them for 8 minutes, and then I'll check them and kind of see how they look. I kind of like mine underbaked because having them underbaked makes the inside really chewy, and then the edges are still crispy, which is really great. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get the other cookie sheet set up to go because that's going to be done here not too long. I really do like the scoop because it does make the cookies one size, especially if you do package them in little bags or in cookie boxes. I found that this particular size of scooper, I had one that was a little bigger, that when I did cookies on the counter at Neiman Marcus, it didn't matter because they were, in little bags, but they were a little bigger. But here, because open houses, there's a lot of people at open houses, I do them a little smaller so there's more to give out. But usually this cookie dough, this particular recipe, will make exactly 4 dozen with this size scoop. Okay, so I'm gonna get this over here by this stove. I'm gonna get my cookie wraps ready. I'm gonna get my chocolate chips out of the way. And I'm gonna take the batter, or the dough, over here by the oven so I can just finish doing the cookies over there. Okay, I'm gonna use a metal spatula to do this. And I'm gonna be back in just a minute to show you how I have my little trick on how I finish off the cookies. But again, let me run over the recipe. 2 1/4 cup all-purpose flour. I do use just slightly less, so about 1/4 inch under the 1/4 cup measuring cup. I do use a little less flour because I want the cookies to be wetter. 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 cup of butter minus 2 tablespoons, room temperature, leave that out overnight, 2 tablespoons clarified butter, 3/4 cup granulated sugar, 3/4 cup dark brown sugar, packed but mounded. So the regular sugar you level off, the other one you pack. I like a little more brown sugar in the recipe because it crisps. That is what caramelizes on the edge of the cookie. So the edge of it is really crispy and nice. Plus, with the little less flour and a little less baking, it leaves the centers really moist and good. Still baked completely through, but moist. 1 teaspoon vanilla, a good vanilla. 2 large eggs. Again, I took those out about 3 hours ahead of time so they would be room temperature. 1 bag Nestle milk chocolate chips. The milk chocolate is huge. The Toll House Nestle Toll House cookies, chocolate chips that are the semi-sweet, I feel like they're just a little more waxy, where these are more melty and more creamy, and they melt into the cookie just a little bit better. And then 1/4 cup, about 1/4 cup of the Ghirardelli 60% cacao, which is a little more of a bitter, sweet kind of chocolate. And they're bigger chips, so it's nice because you have these little pockets of milky, creamy, regular chocolate chips. And then you have these nice little bite-size, little bigger bite-size 60% cacao, so it's going to be a little more bitter. So you have 2 types of chocolate in there, which is really good. And then that little pinch of nutmeg, which I think is so important because it kind of gives a little more salty dimension, or it kind of gives a little bit of underlying spice dimension, but it's not very much at all. Like I said, I just put a pinch in. I have done these chocolate chip cookies with bacon. I've only done that twice. It was pretty good, but that what is it called? That sweet and savory kind of feel to it. It was pretty good. Not particularly my favorite. But what I have done before is done flake salt or sea salt on the top afterwards. That is really good because you have that salty component on top and that sweet cookie component on the bottom. So, and again, I have done these for open houses for years. We haven't done it for the last couple of years. And a lot of times, I don't know how the open house is going to be because the market is shifting just a little bit. Interest rates are going up. Inventory is coming up, but things are staying on the market just a few days longer, a couple of weeks instead of 3 or 4 days, 5 days. So it's changing a little bit. So I'm not sure how many people we're going to have at the open house today. I hope it's a nice, busy open house. If it's not, I always bring little boxes along so I can box the cookies. I drop them off at either the fire department or the police department, or I'll drop them off to my favorite grocery store clerk, or I know if I'm up in Acton, I'll drop them at that fire department. On the way home through Sudbury, I can drop them off at that police station and firehouse since they're right next to each other. Kind of split them up sometimes. But these are really, really great chocolate chip cookies. We still have a minute on this. So I am trying to think of something to say because I don't want to just break for a minute and a half to come back to show you this. But I think what I'm going to do here in the next few weeks is probably make my sugar cookies. I'm not sure what I'm going to make them for. Usually they're like a Christmassy kind of thing, maybe Valentine's Day. But I suppose I can make them, for the summer with kind of summer themed flowers or whatever. But I'm going to share my sugar cookie recipe with you as well. It's really good. So again, I'm going to run over the recipe one more time. 2/4 cup all-purpose flour, a little less than that. Teaspoon baking soda, teaspoon salt. I use kosher salt because I like the bigger granules. 1 cup butter minus 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of clarified butter, so that makes up the difference of the butter. 3/4 cup granulated sugar, level. 3/4 cup brown sugar, packed and domed, so it's a little extra. That helps the edges crisp up. 1 teaspoon vanilla, 2 large eggs, room temperature. I took them out at least 3 hours ahead of time to get them to room temperature. 1 bag Nestle milk chocolate chips, a little more creamy. 1/4 cup Ghirardelli 60% cacao chips, a little more bitter, a little bigger, a little different size. And then 1 pinch of the nutmeg. So I'm gonna adjust this camera a little bit so we can kind of show you my my thing. And the cookies are done. So wow, who knew I could talk for 8 minutes about food or real estate? Okay, those look really good. They're almost there. I'm gonna leave them for just another 30 seconds. In the meantime, I'm going to add this to my YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel. I need to add some of the content of the baking and the cooking that I've done the last few weeks. But if there are things that you've seen me make that you want the recipes for, I can do a little more detailed video on those and give that. I think I did the chicken with the avocado and red onion salsa. I think I need to add that to YouTube. But anyway, always send me a direct message or anything to what you want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these cookies out. So this is my little trick. So I put them about 10 to 8 inches above and I drop them. And you'll see why, or I'll explain why here in just a minute. I'm going to put these other cookies into the oven. Set the timer again for 8 minutes. Okay, so this is my theory on why I drop the cookies. As you know, you take meat off, you let it rest, it sits there, it cooks, and the juices redistribute, blah, 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 blah. Well, I think with cookies that they still kind of bake afterwards. So what I do is when I slam that down, it takes the steam out of the cookie and stops it from baking. So what that does is that keeps the center very creamy and the edges still very crispy. just going to show you this. Yeah, really good. So it's still a little mushy in the middle, but the edges are really nice and crispy. I know that I've seen the Facebook post that says, what kind of cookie do you like? People like domed, more dry. Everyone has a different kind of chocolate chip cookie that they like. I'm not a fan of those domed, dry cookies. I like something crispy on the edge, something chewy in the middle, and that's why it took me, I bet you, 2 or 3 years to develop this completely and change things. I changed that clarified butter thing just about 3.5 years ago. So I keep doing this, but I think I got it down. What I want you guys to do is bake the cookies and then tell me what you think. But thank you for spending some time with me this morning, making my chocolate chip cookies. Thank you again for watching my videos and commenting. But I will get back with another video very shortly.